We are learning more tonight, more information about a former Rochester police officer charged with raping a 13-year-old girl. 39-year-old Shawn Jordan is now also alleged to have exposed himself to a 16-year-old girl over a video chat and was arrested and arraigned in a Bristol Town Court yesterday. Good evening. I'm Karen Edwards in for Dawn tonight. 13 Wham's Jackie Napier learned more about the investigation today and brings us up to speed.
A former officer with the Rochester Police Department is facing charges following allegations of raping one child and conducting inappropriate conversations with another. According to court paperwork, Shawn Jordan of South Bristol engaged in sexual intercourse by forcible compulsion with the 13-year-old girl in his home. The Ontario County District Attorney's Office says Jordan did not meet the girl through his police work. Rather, the two initially met through an acquaintance of the family. Ontario County Assistant District Attorney Kelly Wolford says, quote, "I am so proud of the young girl who had the strength and power to come forward and tell what happened, particularly when the person who did this was a police officer. I am honored to be able to seek justice in the courtroom for this young warrior." In March, Jordan was arrested and accused of exposing himself to a 16-year-old girl and acting in a lewd manner during a Facebook Messenger video chat. On March 20th, the Rochester Police Department placed Jordan on paid suspension. He resigned on April 3rd. This marked Jordan's second suspension during his 14-year tenure with RPD. According to police disciplinary records, an investigation into Jordan's conduct took place from April to November 2016. The investigation centered around allegations that Jordan threatened someone's life, conducted personal business in a department vehicle, and obtained personal information from a police computer. Upon review, the board determined that the allegations of threats were unprovable. However, it was determined that Jordan had conducted personal business using a department vehicle and computer. He was suspended for 10 days.
Jordan's attorney, Michael Geraci, said he and his client are looking forward to fighting the respective charges in Monroe and Ontario counties.
Workers in Rochester say they are ready to join the United Auto Workers strike if necessary, which could fuel economic ripple effects right down to the consumer. 13 Wham's spoke with an expert about how this strike could impact locals. Hey, Andrew.
Hello, Karen. This strike has shades of the 2019 strike against GM, but a strike against all three major automakers could greatly impact all of Western New York.
I need some more energy.
A rally on Tuesday night showed support from the city and local union workers, ready to strike with the union in Michigan if called to walk.
Right now on standby, and we're here in a supporting role for our brothers and sisters that are on strike and waiting to be tapped on the shoulder for our turn to go out.
A strike of this size has echoes of the 2019 walkout against GM, but involving all of the big three companies, this walkout could impact the local economy in the coming months. The big three, GM, Ford, and Stellantis, have inventory for 40 to 50 days of strike, which is significantly less than previous strikes due to several shortages and supply chain disruptions.
If it happens, we can see that not just the parts manufacturing facilities, it's also the suppliers, or it's also the service providers that can get impacted because of this strike if it happens in the Western New York.
Laharish Guntaka says suppliers could be hit first, leading to potential layoffs and bankruptcy, eventually climbing up the chain and directly affecting the big three. These ripple effects could affect us locally, with higher vehicle prices and interest rates, inflation, and potentially leading to a recession.
But if it goes beyond 2 months, and if we are looking at a territory, let's say by the end of this year, until the end of this year, that can actually impact the economy in the size of a sizable recession. So that can be a huge issue that we are facing going forward because of this strike.
13,000 workers at 3 different factories are on strike right now, one each for GM, Ford, and Stellantis, the successor company to Fiat Chrysler. UAW's president says more faculties could join the strike if, quote, serious progress towards an agreement isn't reached by Friday at noon.
Scott, thank you. Turning now to a celebration of life for Daniel Prude, who died after an encounter with Rochester police in March of 2020.
Just to give back on his birthday, to the community that supported him in the protest.
It has been 3 years since the release of video of Prude's encounter with police that sparked protests and calls for change. 13 WHAM's Carla Rogner reports on those continued calls as the community remembers him tonight. Carla, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Matt. The Community Justice Initiatives holds bi-weekly free dinners in different parts of Rochester. Tonight, they chose to feed the village in the neighborhood where Daniel Prude was taken into custody.
A birthday party for Daniel Prude with free dinner, dessert, and conversation about his life and legacy.
It's a joy to see that people are sincere with their kindness and their open hearts.
Prude's family celebrating with people who never knew Daniel, but have felt the impact of his death.
I think it's beautiful. It's for the community, it's for the people, and look how many people here. It's something to bring the people together to remember Daniel Prude, and it's something Rochester is always going to be doing.
The party happening in the Jefferson Avenue community, not far from where Prude was restrained by Rochester police officers during a mental health call in 2020. He died at the hospital a week later, and his death was ruled a homicide.
Daniel Prude unfortunately lost his life due to some indifferences that we feel in the community. So we come out here today to build awareness of that and to make sure that we control our community and we protect those in our community and those that want to help our community.
For some, Prude's death has served as inspiration to focus on issues within the community.
We can't forget the legacy and, what happened and how that whole situation literally didn't just change Rochester, but it changed the world.
Legislation to pass Daniel's Law continues to move through Albany. If passed, the law would call for mental health professionals to handle mental hygiene calls instead of police.